Hello, and welcome to the classroom video for the Russo-Japanese War simulation. During this video, the instructor may wish to pause at times to help students and to hand out materials. Students will each need two six-sided dice, those are the kind of traditional dice, and a set of percentile dice or an app that lets you roll percentages. So a couple things about percentile dice that we need to explain if you're not used to using them. So the dice at the bottom there in that picture is the tens place, and the dice at the top is the ones place. So if you were to roll like this, you would have a 41. Right? If it was the 7 instead of the 1 on that top dice, you would have a 47. Likewise, if it was the 60 instead of the 40, you would have a 61. There are, though, a couple things that can be confusing about this. Let's say that the dice that says 40, you rolled and you had a double zero, then that would be a 1. However, if you had the double zero and instead of the 1, you had another 0, that doesn't mean 0, it means 100. Now, that's very important because, and this is very important, on the percentile dice, you want to roll low. A low number on a percentile dice is good. And that's because you're trying to roll under something. So the way to think about it is this way. If something has a 60% chance of happening, then you want to have it happen more often than not. Right? So if something has a 60% chance of happening, it should happen more often than not. So that means it makes sense you would want to roll 60 or under. If you're trying to roll above 60, that would happen less often than not. Right. So the key thing is you want your roll to be as low as possible. Triple zeros is bad. That's 100. That's the worst possible roll. A 1 is the best possible roll. So this simulation mimics the attack on Port Arthur. So you're going to be given a card. Each card has has flavor text, a name, a picture, an occupation, dependence, and a quirk for your soldier. All right, so you're going to be playing the role of a soldier. If your soldier gets killed, you will be given a new card, except at the very end. Each round, each person will draw a card, and sometimes those cards will require you to roll a dice. And I'll give you some examples. But for example, your card will have a courage score, and you want to roll under or at to succeed. So if your courage is 91, you want to roll a 91 or below. If you go over, you fail. If you suffer a wound, you would mark off the number of wound boxes. So if it says you suffer 1 wound, you would mark off 1 wound box. If you suffer 2 wounds, you would mark off 2 wound boxes. If all wound boxes are marked off, you collapse and must roll at or under your luck. If you succeed, you are found and you receive medical treatment. If you fail, you die. If you collapse, die, or run away, you need to let the instructor know. So let me give you some concrete examples. For example, let's say your soldier is Nakamura Takumi. So there's his quirk. It turns out he's really good at singing, and he is a farmer. And each card has dependents who tells us these are the family members that really want Nakamura Takumi to come home. His father, who suffers from dementia, and his wife, who can no longer walk. So they really need him to come back. So when you draw a card, hopefully you'll get that card on the left. Thanks to the prayers of loved ones, thanks to Dad and my wife, for praying for me, I don't get hurt. And that woman there is sewing a shirt. And sometimes Japanese people, they had a custom of trying to put like 1,000 stitches into a garment for good luck. But let's say you draw the card on the right. Disturbed by the horrors of battle, you find it difficult to continue forward. Make a courage check. If you fail, you panic and run away. Inform the instructor. So if Nakamura drew that card, his courage is 91. So he would try and roll the percentile dice and hopefully get 91 or under. If he does that, he gets scared, but he overcomes it and keeps going forward. If he fails it, though, he runs away and you would have to get a new card. So if you draw the card on the left, that's very unfortunate for poor Nakamura. He just dies. Right, and so you would have to get a new card from the instructor. Now, if he was struck by a bullet, let's say he draws this card and he's struck by a bullet, and so he would check off a wound box. And then the very next turn, he checks off, he draws this card, and then he would check 2 wound boxes. That means all the wound boxes are filled in. That doesn't mean he dies necessarily. What you would do is roll your luck, and unfortunately Nakamura is more unlucky than he is lucky. So let's say he rolls a 51, that's over his luck. That means that he just dies. No one is able to help him. But if he rolls a 46 or under, that means that the medics were able to find him and patch him up, and he is able to come back. So let's now begin. So you are now tasked with taking 203 meter hill, a very important hill that overlooks Port Arthur. If you can take the hill, then you will be able to put artillery up there and attack the city of Port Arthur. If you can take the city of Port Arthur, you can control the surrounding ocean, and that might end the war. So the problem is, of course, the Russians know you're coming. They're going to start firing artillery at you. So you would draw a card. Remember, if it requires you to roll your courage, roll under or add it to succeed. If you go over, you fail. If you suffer a wound, mark off the number of wound boxes. If all wound boxes are marked off, you collapse and must roll at or under your luck. If you succeed, you are found and receive medical treatment. If you fail, you die. If you collapse, die, or run away, let your instructor know. Once you, I won't always go over all these different rules. You would just go over them on your own and resolve your cards, and then your instructor will restart the videos to continue going through the rest of the battle. So as you come closer, you still are under artillery fire, but now the Russians open up with long-range rifle fire. So draw and resolve a card. As you get even closer, they begin to open up not only with rifle fire and artillery, but also with machine gun fire. So draw and resolve a card. You continue going forward, and now not only do you face artillery, machine gun, and rifle fire, but the Russians also start throwing grenades at you. Draw and resolve a card. The Russians continue fighting, but you're able to get close enough that you're able to engage in hand-to-hand combat now with them. Draw and resolve a card. Now, there's a special rule here, though. If you die, you do not get a new card. If you run away, you do not get a new card. So now you have successfully taken 203 meter hill. You now have control of it, but can you hold it? Everyone who is still alive and in battle, roll 2 6-sided dice. People who ran away in the last event do not roll and count successes. If you died in the last event, your spirit remains and you roll 1 dice. Count total successes for the entire class. The class needs at least 1 success per person total to hold the hill. If you have less than 1 success per person total, you are driven off the hill. You are disheartened, knowing that you will have to fight again to try and seize it. So now we will determine your fate. If you died, you've given everything for Japan and the Emperor and will be enshrined at Yasukuni. If you survive the battle, but you have 2 wounds, you will suffer the pain of your wounds. If you survived the battle, but had 2 or 3 wounds, you will suffer the pain of your wounds for the rest of your life. If you survive the battle with 1 or no wounds, you will return home to your loved ones.